Shalom, shalom, and welcome to today's spooky story from the Bible. Today we're going to be talking about Lazarus. Now, Lazarus was a really good friend of Jesus, and at one point in his life, he gets really, really sick. And we don't know exactly what's wrong with him, but we do know it's serious because his sister sends word to Jesus to come immediately. Now, Jesus doesn't come immediately, and we don't know why at the time, but it becomes clear later. Lazarus ends up dying, and by the time Jesus gets back, he's already been in the grave for 4 days. So by the time Jesus gets there, Lazarus' sister is obviously upset because she had wanted him to come earlier. Jesus goes to the tomb where Lazarus is buried, and he calls for Lazarus to come out. Now, not only does he, which is kind of spooky enough on its own, the thing that I find extra spooky is it doesn't say in scripture that his burial shroud was removed. It says that he came out still bound up in his burial shroud. So, just imagine what that would mean. Did he float out? His legs would have been bound in this shroud. How did he move when he came out? I just picture, him floating, standing up and floating out of the tomb towards Jesus. So Jesus is able to resurrect Lazarus from the dead, and everybody views it as a miracle. So the theory is that Jesus didn't arrive until Lazarus had already been dead for 4 days, because at that point, he was really dead. If Jesus had showed up ahead of time and cured Lazarus before he died, people could have said it wasn't a miracle. Likewise, if he arrived the day of or the day after Lazarus' death, people could have said it was a hoax. But him showing up 4 days after, Lazarus was really, really dead. There's also some folklore surrounding this event that describes the rest of Lazarus' life after he was risen from the dead. Folklore says that he lived for about 30 more years and that he was never happy for the entire rest of those 30 years. In the stories, it says that whenever Lazarus was dead for 4 days, he was able to see hell and what awaited people who weren't believers. So the entire rest of his life, he saw people that had fallen off the path, and he knew what their destiny was, and it just really, really depressed him. This is another example of one of those stories where it really makes you stop to think, what would your life be like if you came back from the dead?